everybody. It's Shannon and Melissa from the Women at the Well. We are here tonight with Michelle Loughran, and we're going to talk about the Dave Ramsey budget. Do not turn us off when you hear the word budget. It will bless your life if you will listen tonight. But anyway, we're just here to bring our experiences and what the Lord has brought us through the heartaches and the trials and the hard times. We just want to bring our experiences to bring hope, hopefully, to your life. So just stick around with us tonight. Michelle's got a lot of good things to say, and I know that Melissa does too, and then they'll probably let me speak again. But anyway, I'll turn it over to Melissa.
Well, I'll say first that I'm the only one out of these three that does not budget and finance correctly.
I wasn't going to throw you under the bus tonight. I actually prayed that I wouldn't throw you under the bus. Thank you for admitting
Well,
that.
I think what she did was pray that I would do it to myself. So she wouldn't have to. I'm not terrible with finances, but I was just talking to Michelle a few minutes ago, and all of my money goes to eating out. That's where all of my money goes. When I look at my bank statement, I see Wendy's, McDonald's, you name it. It's all, and then I've got a few bills that I pay. And then it's just all fast food or eating out.
Yeah.
So I think all of us are guilty of that unless you budget like Shannon and Michelle. But Michelle did make me feel better and let me know that she does eat out some too. So that made me kind of feel okay.
Yeah, her kids probably like her a lot better than my kids like me.
Yeah. So, but it is a really good thing. The last time that Shannon and I talked about it, a lot of people were really interested because when you have financial trouble, it causes trouble in every area. Yeah. Because especially if you've got one person that's like spend, right. And then you've got the other person that's like, I'm working and I don't have any money, so where's all the money going?
Right.
So it can cause a lot of conflict. So I'll just read my notes real quick and then I'll let Shannon and Michelle talk because they know a lot about this and they can educate you a lot more than I can, and maybe I'll learn something too. So I said, let's talk about finances. Whoa, who wants to talk about finances? Because a lot of times that can be fighting words,
right.
Especially if you're husband and wife, and your wife is spending too much money, and your husband's like, well, I don't even eat out during the week, and what are you doing with all my money? Yeah. I mean, it can be a problem. So either you are financially stable or you aren't. That's pretty much how it is. Either you are or you aren't. Yeah. But what does the Bible say about our finances? Well, it says a lot. And while we are to be responsible and give in the right manner, we are also better to save if possible.
If you think of the Bible?
No, I'm saying that.
Oh, okay.
I said what?
I was like, yes.
I'm getting to that. If you think about it, it just makes sense. When I overspend, I panic. Yeah. So if I decide I've got $200 extra in the bank, like all my bills are paid and I've got $200, and I think, ooh, where can I go and spend this $200? I'm going to go here. And so I spend it down to like $5. And then I got the rest of the week for gas money and food. And I'm like, oh man.
Are you saying this is really what you do?
No, I'm saying if I did that, I would panic.
Oh, okay.
We were getting ready to say, okay,
I'm
we need
trying
to cut this off. We got to go for now.
So I would regret it. I dread being broke. If I overspend, then I dread being broke because I've spent all my money. But if I spend responsibly, I don't have regret on impulse buying. So Matthew 6:24 says, no one can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Now, does that mean that God does not want you to be wealthy or that he despises you if you are? No.
Right.
What is your attitude as you have gained wealth? Have you become full of greed, or have you remained faithful to tithing and allowing your money to become fruitful? So there's different ways that you can look at that, I guess. If you are just making money for self-satisfaction and you're hoarding all your money up, and say you're saving all of your money and you're not wasting it, but you're not giving any to God, you're not helping somebody that you know is in need, it's only about me. Right. What can I do for me? Then I believe that is not what God wants you to do, and he's not giving you the money for that reason. Right. And then Proverbs 23:5 4-5 says, do not wear yourself out to get rich. Do not trust your own cleverness. Cast but a glance at riches as they are gone, for they will surely sprout wings and fly off to the sky like an eagle. So what this says to me is, be wise. Do not put your want for money before the more important things. Just as easily as you have gained money, it can also be taken away. So I think we all probably know people that have been like that. Maybe they've had money at one time and it may have led to drug addiction. Right. It may have led to overspending so much that they had money one day and they spent all of their money and then they didn't have any. Or maybe it just, they got in a hard spot, because you have to be wise and you have to be responsible and you have to appreciate the money that you have in the right way. Because if He gives you a way to earn a good living, then I don't believe that He wants you to just throw it out. Right. You've got to tithe. You've got to give back to God before anything else. Yeah. And so, what this says to me is to be wise. Do not put your want for money before the more important things. Ecclesiastes 5:10 says, whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. And I thought about Paul. Paul expressed that he could live with or without earthly needs. When he spoke to the Philippians, he wrote in Philippians 4:11-13, not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance I am. I know how to get along with humble means, and I also know how to live in prosperity. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And so, I don't know about Michelle. I don't guess we've ever really had this conversation, but Shannon and I have had this conversation. I have been in the position that I have had all of my needs met. I have not had to worry about having my bills paid. I've not had to worry about having food on the table. I've not had to worry about if I wanted new clothes or if I wanted things for my kids, that I had to worry about that. And then I've also been to the point that I'm like, I got nothing.
Right.
I got absolutely nothing. Yeah. I've got some peanut butter crackers. I guess I'll eat those for lunch today. And I've been there. Yeah. And what I've learned from both circumstances is that I didn't need God when I had all of my needs met. Wow. When I had money, when I had a car, when I had my bills paid, when I could just go on trips, when I could do anything I wanted to do, I never thanked God for allowing me to do those things. I never asked God, how was my bill going to get paid? How was I going to buy food for my kids? I never asked Him. Yeah. And it was only when all of that was stripped away from me that I realized, okay, this is just not given to me. Yeah. God really wants me to see and appreciate what He gives me. Yeah. And so I can relate to Paul in that area. I'm humble enough now that I know what it's like. I'm content with having nothing, or I'm content when I do have, because now I know how to handle it. Yeah. So is it wise to be responsible with finances? If we aren't careful, it can replace our desire for God. If money were easy, we may not want to rely on God for our needs. I can remember the times that God allowed me to lose everything in order to depend on Him. And then I kind of thought about King Solomon. He was the richest man in the Bible. He didn't ask for wealth, though. The Lord appeared to him one night in a dream and asked what he should give him. Instead of requesting riches, honor, long life, or to defeat his enemies in battle, he requested an understanding heart to be able to wisely judge his people. God was so pleased with his request that He gave Solomon what he asked for, and the things he didn't ask for. His wealth and assets were great and plentiful. So he was pleasing to God, and that's why He gave him those things. He didn't ask him, for the wealth, but that's what He ended up giving him. And, I think we can be selfish in what we ask God for, definitely. But I think sometimes in our own selfishness, we don't even realize that we're being selfish when we're asking God, but God, I really, really, really need money for this or need it for that. Mm-hmm. What we really need to do is we need money to tithe.
Right.
For one thing, because
Yes.
I can tell a difference. I don't know about you guys.
Yes.
If I don't tithe, my money does not go as
Right.
far as what it, and we've
Yeah.
not been going to church every
Yeah.
Sunday. I can tell a difference because I've not been tithing
Right.
like I normally would if I was there.
Yeah.
So it does make a difference, and
Yeah.
I know that Shannon and Michelle are going to tell you all how to do this better. That was just kind of my idea on it. You know, greed can take you in a low spot
Yeah.
if you're not careful. But we have to know how to be. What's the word? I don't know the word that I'm looking for. We have to know how to handle our money.
Responsible,
Responsibility,
obedient,
yes.
you know,
We
all
have to
kinds
do
of
those
different
things.
things. I'm going to just go ahead and chime in real quick, and I'm going to give the floor to Michelle because she just has a great testimony about being on the Dave Ramsey budget. But I was like Melissa, you know, when years ago we would go to the lake in the summer, and when I wasn't going to church and I wasn't tithing, oh, I was so happy because I wasn't having to give my money to the church. Do you know that those are the only times in the summer when I wasn't tithing are the only times my bank account ever bounced?
Wow.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm tithing, no matter how much money we have, as long as I'm tithing, God always fulfills every need. Maybe not every want. I mean, I've got a list of wants a mile long, you know, but every need that we need has been met. And in 2017, which you all know, God had called me to quit my job and to be a stay-at-home mom with this house full of kids that drive me insane. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, and I said yes to that call. And shortly after that, I was at the Axis, and Tess Lips came up to me and he said, "Let me just tell you, God will supply every need you ever." And I was like kind of panicky at the point at that time because I was like, did I do the right thing? I don't know if I did the right thing. I was just trying to be obedient to God. And Tess Lips said, "Let me tell you, God will meet every need that you will ever have. He may not meet every want, but he will meet every." And I can tell you right now, it's been 3.5 years, and God has met every single. There's not been a need go that he has not met. But what we did, we started on the Dave Ramsey budget, and it puts God first place. And I'll let Michelle kind of go over, you know, the dynamics of the Dave Ramsey budget, but it puts God first place. And I thought it was funny because the Bible must be filled with Bible verses about money, because the Bible verses I have written down are not the Bible verses you read, you know.
There's
But
a lot.
one that really stood out to me was Luke 16:10. He said, "He that is faithful with very little is also faithful with much." And I feel like that I could just stop at that Bible verse, because when we have a little tiny bit, Dave Ramsey budget teaches us how to be good with that. And when we are good with that, I just see the blessings of God upon that. And so anyway, Michelle, I'll let you take over, and I'm sure we'll butt in. You know?
That's okay, please do. Well, I didn't know anything about the Dave Ramsey plan until my hand was forced in about 2 years ago. I had gotten to some credit card debt that I shouldn't have gotten into. And so I had went to Shannon and asked her if she would help me with my finances. And she said yes. So we met after church one night, and she started showing me a little bit of the Dave Ramsey plan, and I started to cry. And she said, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "Because I don't think I can do it." She's like, "You can, and you will." And I've been doing it for 2 years, and it's been life-changing for
And
me.
you've done good, haven't you?
I have stuck to it wholeheartedly, and it's about, you know, being obedient to that and sticking to it and being very, very faithful, because it's hard. At one point in time, I only had $50 a week in spending money.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
That's a big
Especially
deal.
when you're used to spending your money on whatever that you wanted to.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you're on this strict plan and you only have $50, and you really have to watch that, and it has to last. But that was with me getting paid every week.
Yeah.
And now that I get paid every 2 weeks, of course there's a little bit more now, but
Yeah.
it has to last me for 2 weeks.
Right.
So you have to do that. And I hope that people can see this little bit. I made a mock book. I didn't want to put, you know, my finances on screen here. I don't know if you can tell it or not, but so on one page you have a column here for bills, and then in another column is save, and then the other column is spend. And I think Shannon had a column for tithing, but I chose not to do that. And the reason why I chose not to do that is because when I get paid, like right here is just say, for instance, this is my balance, and whenever I get paid, well, what do? You instantly tithe.
Yeah.
And so you give your first fruits.
Yes.
And when you give your first fruits, you don't even know what's going to be left over.
Right.
You just automatically trust God into showing or allowing that to happen. And so you tithe first, and then you 10% tithe, and then you put 10% in savings, and then you put 10% spending.
Yes.
So whatever your check is, if it's $2,000, every 2 weeks, just say, well, you only have $200 to spend. So Melissa, you'd only have $200
To eat out.
to eat out for 2 weeks.
Oh, goodness.
And then after that, that's it, because you don't, when you cut into your savings, you're cutting into your savings, and you don't want to cut into your bill paying account, because then you're going to be short.
Right.
And so I tithe faithfully for 2 years. And when I became a Christian in 2015, I asked the Lord to help me in so many ways. And he brought to my attention that I should tithe. And it took a long time for me to be able to tithe. And I didn't really know how to tithe. I mean, I knew how to tithe, but I didn't know how to. It's kind of hard to explain. But anyway, so when she helped me with this budget, I started tithing, and it's been amazing for me. And so on the next page, I hope you can see this. So this page is your column page, and this page is like when your bills come out. So if you get paid, just say on November the 27th, you write down what bills are going to be due. Just say, for instance, you have to pay the bills that are going to be due before the 4th of December. And then it kind of helps you keep track of that. And then you just take it out on this side. But, of course, you tithe first. I hope I'm explaining
You
this
are.
okay.
Yeah, you're doing good.
And then what I do at the very bottom, it's taught me a Bible verse, and this has been one of my favorites. And I always write it at the bottom.
That's
And
nice.
I always highlight it. And it says, "And my God will meet all your needs according to his glorious riches in Christ Jesus." Philippians 4:19. And a lot of times I'll write up here my prayer. And my prayer is to get out of debt, so I'm able to help others that are in need. So anything that I would pay on that credit card, just say I pay $150 a month. Once I get out of debt, because God doesn't want us in debt,
Right.
once I get out of debt, I can take that $150 and be able to help somebody with their
Right.
groceries or
Yeah.
with their electric bill or things like that. So
Instead of using it for your own personal gain, you've
Exactly.
already got it in your mind, you're going to use it to help someone else.
right, because I have
Yeah.
a column, my spending column.
Yeah. Right.
And that doesn't go anything over of what I make.
Right.
10% of what I make.
Yeah.
Now, do you do this every month?
I do
once
it-
a month or once a week, or how?
I keep, you know how you have your checking account book tracker thing? A lot of people don't use that
The register.
anymore. Yeah, I use this weekly.
Okay.
So I get paid at my job every 2 weeks. So probably every Saturday, I make sure everything balances out. And then I make sure that it's balances out again on, say, on a Thursday. That way, whenever I get paid, I know what I'm getting into as I'm going. So
And for anybody that doesn't understand or needs personal help, we're willing to do that. You know, we can actually sit down with you and help you figure out your finances. So, so even if anybody didn't exactly understand, because guess what, finances are hard. You know,
Yeah.
I do remember the day that you actually said, "I can't do this." You know, well, there's a lot of people that feel like they can't do this.
Yeah.
You're doing it. You know,
I'm doing it, and listen, tithing in Hebrew means 10%. And so I really feel like God, it's not about giving God money, because he doesn't need our money. It's about being faithful.
Right.
And somebody once told me that they give 20% to tithe, you know, to the church, because that's just what they put in their heart to give. And so my goal is to be able to give more, and to add on to that an offering to be able to help other people. And it's just all about being obedient to God. And then there's a Bible verse in there that says that if if you tithe or you give or something like that, your
Oh,
storehouse running over or something like that.
Pressed down,
shaken, and
yeah,
yeah.
we know
Something
it,
like
yeah.
that. And listen, there has been times where I had no idea how to even manage money. I never had to at all. I didn't know how much my electric bill was a month. I didn't know what day that my car payment came out. So I had no idea that I could even afford to even be on the Dave Ramsey budget. And so at the very end, there's always more than enough.
Wow.
And I know that's being obedient to tithing and having that money come out first fruits, for him. And even whenever I give, my income, if I get extra money, I give 10% of that. Anything that I get extra
Right.
when it comes
That's
to
what
money,
we do too.
I
Anything that
always
comes into this house.
I always
Yeah.
give extra, and he has blessed me in more ways that I can't even hardly explain, and it's just been amazing. Shannon helping me with that's been a godsend for me, and I've been able to save, I've been able to get out of debt, and I've been able to, have that extra spending money. He has just, my income has just went up, and it's just I've been able to give more, and I've been able to help people, and it's just been a great blessing.
And you also know where it goes, because that's the difference between me and you.
Right.
I'm looking at my bank statement and I'm going, all of my money is going to eating out.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't have any, I'm working to eat out
Right.
because that's what I do. I eat out.
Yeah.
And so you are accountable for everything that you spend, because you know, and then you're accountable for your tithes, and you're accountable for what you save, and you can actually see where it
Where it
all
goes.
goes. That's the difference. And I think so many people, and I'm going to mention this because everybody's financial situation is different. Maybe you have student loans that are like never going anywhere. I mean, I don't have student loans. Thank goodness I never went to college. So, so I don't have student loans. But a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I think student loans and credit card debt
Right.
are the two biggest
It is.
things that people deal with, because
Yeah.
they can never get those
You
paid off.
can't get ahead.
And if
Yeah.
you are just paying the minimum payment on those credit cards, they ain't going nowhere.
Right.
The student loans, they're so out of control that there's no way you can
Right.
ever, and you don't have anything. So maybe you are one of those people that are like, you couldn't look at my income and tell me that you could help me with my bills, and I think they could.
Yeah.
Because I've watched Shannon live on very little.
Right.
Michelle has
Very
shown
little.
us that that she's been able to do it. So, I mean, you can, and it doesn't mean, I don't guess, Shannon, that it means that you can never eat out, or
does
that you
not
can
mean
never
that.
have anything
That's
that you
True.
only
You-
put
you
all your money
decide.
towards bills.
You get to decide where you
Yeah.
want it to go. You just know where it's going.
Right.
You know?
You're just able to see, and it's
Right.
just not all wasted.
Right. Yeah.
When you're in the columns, you have your bill paying account, and then you have your savings, and then you have your spending account. So you're seeing where your money's going.
Right.
Right.
And whenever you get close down to that spending, well, if you start cutting into your bills, you are going to come up short,
Right.
because you don't need to do that.
Right.
You need to just stay focused on that. And I think that's what the Dave Ramsey plan does. Especially if you're in debt, it's called snowball. Is that what it's called? I can't remember.
Well, I don't really know.
The
like,
snowball
all his
debt,
terminology.
yeah, it's
but-
something like that. And he just shows you how to, do this plan, and then start paying your or whatever debt that you have. You pay that off, and just say, for instance, that you, your credit card is for $4,000, and you're paying $150 a month. I think you're supposed to have like $1,000 in your emergency fund, and anything over that needs to go for the debt that you have. So if you have $1,500 in your savings account after you start this up, what are you going to do? You're going to pay your $150 minimum payment, plus you're going to pay your $500 that you have extra in your savings. That's how you end up paying that off. And then once you pay that off, you go to the next small debt, and whatever you were paying on that credit card, on top of that monthly payment, you pay both of those. And then when you get extra in your savings, you take that money and then you pay that off. And that's how you end up getting out of debt. Don't go to the very expensive debt that you have. You go to the smallest one, because if you go to the most expensive one that you have, you're really not going to see a whole lot of change, and then you're going to give up.
Right.
Go to the smallest one. If you have a $2,000 credit card and you're only paying $25, you probably could pay more than that, but you're choosing not to because you're wanting to go out and buy other things with it, and you're not realizing what
Right.
you're spending your money on. So,
Yeah.
And it's better to not have all of those little bills to have to
Right.
worry about,
Yes.
because then that's going to give you more spending money or more saving money or more tithing money or, you know, whatever, if you don't have all of those small bills
Yeah.
that you've got every month.
And Dave Ramsey has a book. He goes really into depth about what Michelle was just talking about. So, you know, we're just kind of hitting just the icing on the cake. I mean, he goes into saving for college and everything else. But a couple things is he does not recommend, and he actually disapproves of using a credit card. Now, I really had a problem with that because when I would use a credit card, I would just use it to get the cash back at the end of the month and then not have a credit card payment because I would pay it off in full. At the end of the month, I would save my money to pay that off and not have a credit card monthly bill, not pay the minimum payment. He does not recommend that because here's why. I kind of fought that for a while. When you use a credit card to pay for stuff, you're not paying attention to how much you're spending. When you use your cash, you're paying attention, and it is hard to let it go. So I finally gave in on that part and stopped using a credit card. The other thing that I wanted to mention was the actual breakdown of the budget, because Michelle said first 10% to the church, you save 10%, you spend 10%. Now what does that leave? That leaves 70% of your money to go to bills. Okay, so what you need to do is add up all your bills, add up everything that you bring in. If your bills are more than 70% of what you bring in, then you need to downsize. Whether that be get rid of a cell phone, turn off the TV, sell a vehicle. To be on the Dave Ramsey budget and for it to work, you need to be within that 70%. Your income, only 70% of that is bills, and if it's over 70%, then you're spending too much. You know, you're living beyond your means. So that is how Dave Ramsey breaks it down, and of course he goes way deeper than that, but that's the gist of it. And if you need help, we're here to help you with that.
and it's really hard to show you on Facebook Live. You know, in this notebook, it's a lot easier if you're in person with somebody. I had a friend of mine that I told her about what I did, and I went to visit her at work one day, and she got a notebook out, and I showed her, and she's so excited about doing this plan, and I think she paid off 2 or 3 credit cards
Wow.
instantly within doing this plan, and she was so excited. And I just stress really hard about giving your first fruits.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Dave Ramsey speaks of that, and there's a list that you go by, but that first fruits is the key to being successful and to really showing the Lord that you're obedient and that you care enough to what He wants and needs from us, and to be faithful to Him. And I think that's huge.
Because I think you said it right. God doesn't need our money.
He doesn't.
He needs our obedience and our faithfulness, you know. And I think that's the key to the success of this. So.
I'll read Proverbs 3:9. It says, "Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops." The gardening metaphor may throw you off just a bit, but these verses are essentially saying to give a portion, specifically a tenth of whatever you make, aka your income, back to God. First fruits is just a biblical way of saying that you should give first before you do anything else with your money.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite verses too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that you write a Bible verse at the bottom of your. I don't do that. I do write a prayer at the top, but I'm not add a Bible verse at the bottom of my book. So that's nice.
Well, the next time we do this session, I might be able to show you all my notebook.
Praise God, we've had a miracle tonight.
And
Okay?
it's-
It's a documented miracle. I've been asking for how long? A year?
Probably forever.
This is a miracle.
As long as
Write
I'm
it in the
complaining
books.
that I don't have any money, Shannon.
Right.
I don't know where all my money goes. But I do know where it goes. I just can't physically see it because I'm eating it.
Right.
It's actually addicting.
I don't
Like,
have anything to show for it.
This
but-
is exciting to
It is
share,
exciting.
you know, so.
I carry
Well,
this notebook around everywhere, and I
And
just
especially,
enjoy
I
doing
think right now, you know, there are a lot of people that still don't have jobs. You know, maybe they've not got their jobs back
Right.
because of COVID and because of the quarantine and all this. So maybe you're struggling right now even more than you ever have.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't know what the future holds. And I always try to think, even though I'm eating all my money, I still try to think, what if I couldn't work? I am living paycheck to paycheck because I'm not thinking about that.
Right.
But with this plan, you know that you've got savings. You know that you've been tithing. You don't have to worry about if I get in a hard spot, if my washer tears up, or if my car breaks down, or whatever. You're allowing yourself money. Whereas if you just spend everything you have and you don't have that savings, I mean, you know, something. Lord forbid that something does happen, but things do come
They
up,
do come up.
and you can't always depend on your job to be there, or that extra income or whatever it
Or
is
even
that
the
you
amount
may
of
have.
money of what comes up.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean anything
right.
can happen, and so with this plan, you are able to save,
Yeah.
and you're able to see this is where my money's going, and if you need to cut something out, then maybe, like Shannon says, you may just have to cut it out.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's times we have to do that.
It's
Yeah,
just
and-
form of discipline.
And he doesn't, and it took me a long time because I've been everything, all of my needs been taken care of. I didn't even have to look at a price tag. I mean, I would go in if I wanted a shirt and it was $80, I just purchased that shirt, didn't even care. Of course, I didn't care because I didn't know what kind of money I didn't have. And then I've had where I've had absolutely nothing. And then I've gotten to the point to where I know exactly where my money's going. And there was a point that I was trying to make, and I can't remember now.
Well,
what
I
it
don't
was.
know what your point was, but I will tell you this. I love knowing where my money's going.
Yes.
It is a good feeling, you know,
Yeah.
to know where it's going.
Yeah.
So, did you think of your point?
Almost.
Okay.
Almost got it.
Just got to talk a little bit longer. She'll think of it.
It just
So,
left me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me say this way, maybe it'll come to you. With the Dave Ramsey budget, he actually also recommends that you keep 3 months of savings, 3 months bill of your
Yes.
bills. So that way, if something did happen and you lost your job, you've got 3 months to be able to pay your bills because you've saved 3 months of your bills and you have it set aside in case of.
And that may seem unreal,
Yeah.
but I know it's possible.
It is
It's
possible.
just it's discipline.
It's
you know,
discipline.
you have to discipline yourself, and you have to maybe pray about it. You
Yeah.
know, just like we do with everything else. You know, pray that God will help you be disciplined enough to do this plan. If it's something that and financial problems cause stress.
That is.
So much stress. And if you're living like that, if you can't sleep of the night because you've got all these bills and you're like, oh my goodness, I cannot even sleep because I've got so much debt, then maybe you want to do this plan. Maybe you want to try it. Maybe you want to pray that God will just discipline you enough to be able to do this plan, because it really will make a difference in your life.
Michelle, maybe this is it. You know, like when you have all the money in the world and you can buy any shirt you want. Now, I don't have the money to get my fingernails done. I, have to wait a little while to get my hair colored. But I tell you what, when I do get those things done, I am
Oh, yeah.
so appreciative.
Yeah.
I am so appreciative when I actually have the money to be able to get those things done that I used to take for granted. So
We have that
anyway.
spending account side
Right.
there, and I mean, if it's, you already know it's in your budget.
Right.
So if you have $100 in your spending account, and you know in 2 weeks you're gonna get $100 more, you might take 25 of that and go get your nails done,
Right.
because you're not taking it out of your bill paying account.
Right.
You're not taking it away from what could cause issues in your life.
Right.
You know, you're taking it from your own money,
Right. From your
basically.
spend. Yep,
And
what
what I
you're
was
allowed
going
to
to
spend.
say, he doesn't want us to be a slave to debt.
Right.
So
Yes.
if a payment is causing you to be a slave to that, you might want to rethink on doing that payment. You know, buying a new car or whatever. I mean, the whole key is to stay out of debt. And then if you have a car payment and, you get that car paid off, I recommend you continue to make that car payment to yourself. That way, because your car's not going to last forever. That way, when it is time for you to buy a car, you have that car fund in there, and you
Wow,
could
that's
sell your
good.
car,
Yeah.
and then you could take that car fund, and you don't have to worry about being in
That's
debt for a
good.
car. And that took me a long time
Yeah.
to understand. I'm like, I know, I'll just always be in car debt. You don't have to be.
Yeah,
don't have
that's
to.
good. That's good.
And also, and I learned this when I bought my car, that, you know, you may have $10,000. And you're like, I'm going to pay this $10,000 down on a new car. Well, it only takes your payment down hardly nothing if you pay that down on it. But when I sold my car, I used the money that I got from my car to make the payments. So I'm making my car payments out of the money that I sold my car for.
Okay.
Now, when that's over, I'll have to pick it up
Right.
and make my own payments. But for several months, I'm not going to have to worry about it. And it only reduces your payment. I think it's like by like per thousand, I think it's maybe like $10, which is nothing.
Right.
I mean,
so
really, if you
here's
think about
the key
it.
question: are you saving that money so that way when the
No,
car?
absolutely
We've
not.
got a lot of work to do, guys. Okay.
But I'm going to start.
Yes.
I am. I'm learning
Yeah,
a lot.
Tonight,
Yeah.
after we get done with
There's
this.
a lot tonight.
We got a notebook ready for her.
I'm learning a lot. Got
We
a
actually
notebook
have a
with
very
me.
big gift for her when this is over. It is a notebook. So.
And it's Christmas, you know, it's almost Christmas, and, you know, in my job, I see a lot of people, you know, needing Christmas money.
Right.
You know, Christmas comes on you, and you're barely living right now, like, you barely buy groceries, you can barely pay your bills. Now it's Christmas, and you're like, oh no, I need extra money. I don't even have regular money. Now I
Right.
need extra money. Well, with this plan, I'm sure
It's already
it's
figured out.
it's already figured in, so
Yep.
you're not going to have to be so scared
Yeah,
when Christmas
nobody's
comes.
getting anything at this house. It's already figured in.
No surprises here.
No surprises here.
So that is that. I mean, just those kind of things that you don't have to stress and worry about. And I know because I see Shannon and Michelle do it, and I know that they're right as
Yeah.
much as I
Thank you.
as much as I want to sit here and be like, I think it's too hard. I don't know if I can do it. I could do it if I really wanted to.
You could do
and
it.
I'm going to.
Yeah,
So
you
we'll
could do
we'll
it.
meet again. Like at least
Yeah.
give me 6 months to like.
You don't
yes,
need 6
I
months.
need 6
She
months.
needs 6 weeks or 6 days.
In 6 months, I could be rich.
If you're not doing it out of fear, then that means you need to do it.
Mm,
Yeah.
good advice.
Yeah.
So we hope that you guys have learned something tonight. If you absolutely are wanting to do this, Shannon and Michelle, don't ask me because I don't know. I'm going to be asking them too. But if you want to do this, it would be a great thing. Just to get the stress off of you. You know, walking around in debt is like, I've been there. I've done it. I've
Yeah.
had so much debt before that it's just like a brick on your chest that
Yeah.
you can't breathe because all of your money's going to be gone, you know, and you don't have anything to show for it. So if you want to do this, message them, call them. I'm sure that they would meet you. Like they say, it is hard to kind of go over and everybody's finances are different. And maybe you don't want to share the embarrassment that you've got yourself in debt because a lot of people are embarrassed of their
Yeah.
debt because
Yeah.
it's like,
It is embarrassing.
did I do this to myself?
Right.
But we all have done that.
Yeah.
So don't be embarrassed or
Don't be
ashamed
embarrassed.
because
Yeah.
we've all done it.
Yeah.
But they would be happy to help you. As always, if y'all need prayer, message us. We will pray with you. Next week we have Patrice coming, right? You want to tell a little bit about what she's going to share?
She is actually going to talk about healing prayers. So if you are looking for a wonderful woman of God who just really has just powerful, intentional prayers that have changed my life, tune in with us next Tuesday. You don't want to miss it. So
And then the Tuesday after that, Tabitha Wagers will be with us that Tuesday. And then we have Linda, did you say, the next week?
Yep.
So we have some really good
Yeah.
people coming up that you all won't want to miss their stories and their testimonies, their advice. We always learn something every
We
Tuesday.
do.
Me and
Yeah.
Shannon, we always
Yeah.
go out of here learning a lot
Right.
more.
Yeah.
Tonight I've learned so much. I've learned that tomorrow I'm taking my lunch.
Yes.
I guess.
Thank
somehow.
God. So anyway.
Taking my lunch with me.
If you feel like we've said something that has helped you, maybe it will help somebody else. So if you could share this, we sure would appreciate it. We just want to spread the glory of God and what He has done in our lives, and so we appreciate if you'd help us do that.
And we'll have Michelle back here with us again. She's as big of a part of a group
Yep.
as me and Shannon are. She lives a little bit farther away, so we hate to ask her to drive all the way over here too much. But anytime we can get her over here, we're pretty sure that she'll come.
Yeah, it was her words that kind of inspired us to do this. And she had sent me a text one night after Melissa had given her testimony at Celebrate Recovery. Michelle sent a text and said, "You guys need to do that." And I said, "Well, I have no idea how we would even be able to do that." And a couple days later, Melissa said, "Do you think maybe we could do a live together, maybe once a month?" I was like, "Okay, let's just start every week." So
No pressure.
here we are.
No pressure from Shannon.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do something, don't even tell her about
Don't.
it. Just don't even mention it, because if you mention it, she's going to be game.
If it's good, we're doing it. If it's to glorify God, we're going to do
We're
it.
going to be
aren't we?
doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
So we thank you all so much for watching. We hope that you have been blessed by this. That's our main goal, is just come on here and bless you. And we always pray before we go on that our words, it'll be your word, God's words,
Yes.
not ours.
Yeah.
So we hope that you have learned something tonight, and we hope you'll tune in next week, and you all have a blessed week.
Have a blessed week. Thank you.